Alrighty, we'll get going here. So once again, my name is John LaMaster. I'm a life sales director here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services, joined here this morning with Brent DeGroot from OneAmerica. I'm going to go over a few slides here to give our IAMS value proposition. Many of you may know about us working with us currently, but for those that not, going to go over our value proposition. To start off here, we have our new producer bonus. So this applies to any newly contracted agent in their first 180 days licensed with IAMS. We have various production levels here from the $100,000 all the way up to the $1 million level. Any business, FIA business, life insurance target premium, single premium life is all factored into this. So you can see here on the screen these various levels. If it's cash back, $750,000 or $750 cash back at that $100,000 level, all the way up to that $1 million level. A couple different marketing programs that we'll pay for and give to you then if you would hit these levels. So if you have any questions on our new producer bonus, reach out to anybody here on the life or annuity sales teams. Our best number, 800-255-5055. Once again, 800-255-5055. Another program we have here is our business builder. So first off, we have our referred producer program. So we write hundreds of checks each month out to our agents and quarterly to our agents. So here on the referred producer program, you'll get a $50 check when you refer an agent and they get contracted with us here at IAMS. Then we'll pay out quarterly on any essentially overrides on that business as a way to say thank you for that referral. So you can see here on the screen for Target Life, we'll pay out 15%, the various there through the FIAs, MIGAs, SPL. Then we also have our marketing reimbursement. So to help share costs on marketing, so we'll pay $100 reimbursement for 100,000 of FIA business. On the life insurance side of things, we'll give you, we'll pay you back $200 per $100,000 single premium SPL business and $200 per $10,000 of target premium on any life cases there. So good way to get some money back in your pocket from either referring an agent over to us and then putting some money back in your pocket and splitting costs on any marketing. Next, we have our back office support. We really pride ourselves when Charles founded this company over 35 years ago. We wanted to be a partner with you guys, put us on your staff and not your payroll is kind of what we like to say here. So I want you to work smarter, not harder. So anything from on the sales side of things, we want to be sales partners, helping with any case design, walking through complex cases. Then also once those cases are submitted, making sure that we're getting those pushed through on both the life and annuity side of things. So full support team there on the new business side. Great job that they do touching cases, making sure that those get put through seamlessly. Our IAMS website is a great tool. I know I have all of my agents really leverage this. There's going to be some excellent sales tools accessible 24/7. Our sales resource library, you could probably spend a full day, if not more, on there going through that. There's going to be fact finders, presentations, different articles in there on various topics on both the life and annuity side of things. So if you haven't signed up for our website, that URL is www.iamsinc.com. If you have any questions on that, reach out to anybody here on the sales teams. We can help get you registered and point out all the great resources on the website. As I'm sure everybody knows here, the industry is trending towards e-applications. So we do integrate with 4 different e-app providers here. Luma and Firelight are going to mostly be on the annuity side of things. iPipeline or iGo will be on the life, DI, long-term care, more on the insurance portion of the business. And then Sunfire, we do integrate with them for any senior health products. But, you know, obviously, it's been a change here moving towards e-apps, but like I said, a lot of the carriers are moving towards those. But the benefits of that, less NIGO rates there, helping cases get pushed through. They're going to get processed a lot quicker, which then in turns to you getting business placed and paid on. Next, we have our creative services. Our creative team, they do an amazing job in different aspects here on the marketing side of things. So if it's agency solution, digital solution, turnkey solutions, if it's help out with you know, any website design, they do a great job of that. I know here recently we've been helping a ton of agents get websites either created or revamped here heading into 2025. We can help out with any agency solutions there, business cards, brochures, even if you don't have an agency, just as an individual producer, help out with anything like that. So if you want to get in touch with the creative team, talk to a sales director here. We can get you out pricing and timing around that and get you an introduction there. Our best number, 800-255-5055. Also here too, great topic to be bringing up here as we head into wrapping up 2024 and start looking at 25 is business planning. So we do offer a complimentary marketing analysis. So it's not going to be too much of a different process. So the first time you, as an agent, are meeting with a prospect, we're going to get to know your business, where you are at, where you want to be, and kind of meet you there, give our insight and recommendations on either, if it's a update on your website, social media pages, anything like that, but then also give you some recommendations on lead sources and other marketing avenues. So if you'd like to get marketing analysis set up, reach out to your sales director. If you're not currently contracted with us, reach out to anybody here on the sales team. Once again, our number, 800-255-5055. So we'll kind of get wrapped up here. We do have an RIA, which is IAMS Wealth Management, that's been really growing here. And I don't think that's just us, that's just an industry as a whole, Series 65 licensed agents. I think everybody knows the benefits of having your 65, mostly increased revenue. I think the average revenue of a fully licensed advisor is almost double. So a great way to bring in additional revenue. As we know then too, the more wallet share we have with our clients, the less likely they are to leave. So a great way to strengthen relationships, keep those clients that you currently have in your book from going elsewhere. So they've been done, Charles Jr. Has done a great job there at IAMS Wealth, and that's going to continue to keep growing. Here we have our Life and Annuity Academy. So we'll host probably about 4 of these. They've all wrapped up here for 2024, but we'll start looking at 2025. So what we do here is we'll bring you into, we'll partner with various carriers. Most of them will be here at our home office in Omaha, but a great way to spend 2 days in your business. We'll bring in multi-million-dollar keynote speakers, talk about advanced sales strategies, marketing ideas, macro tax planning. There will be a presentation then from the IAMS Wealth Management team to get to know them a little bit better. So as we announce these dates in 2025, don't hesitate to reach out here to us, to your sales director, to get information on that. Here we have our incentive trip, which is currently going on. We do an 18-month qualification period that started here at the start of January 2024 and runs through June 30th of 2025. They will be heading to Quebec next August. If you're not familiar, I do not know how to pronounce that hotel, but all the pictures that I have seen have been absolutely amazing. So I need roughly about 5 million points to qualify for that trip. So if currently contracted with us, and if you want to see where you're at qualification wise, let us know, reach out to your sales director. Then lastly here, make sure you like and follow us on our social media pages. So we have Facebook and LinkedIn. Agent Portal obviously is going to then also have a lot of good updates, but then I also always point out to leverage our YouTube channel where a majority of these webinars will be reposted. So make sure you follow and like us on our social media. And with that, I will hand it over to Brent. Brent's a great partner of ours here at OneAmerica. Great products there, especially, me and Brent were talking here before, we're wrapping up long-term care insurance awareness month. So we've been having a lot of great conversations, and, he's going to then chat here. I was sharing that feel like I've had more conversations the past 2 weeks about long-term care insurance, and agents calling and saying, hey, my clients are asking about this. I need to brush up on my education and what kind of products are out there. So I'm going to hand it over to Brent, and looking forward to hear about the new updates.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate that. And thank you all for coming out today. I wanted you to see this. Yes, this is live. So hello, appreciate that. Yes, we are getting towards the end of Long-Term Care Awareness Month, but very important information to share with you all. So again, thank you for coming out today. I am going to turn off my camera. I just wanted to show you that, yes, we are live today. So let me take care of that. and then we will get started here. So we did recently an update to our portfolio, or asset care at least, which is our whole life chassis. So these are all asset-based solutions, meaning the client uses their asset first for any type of LTC expenditures. So providing that income for those expenditures, and they're using it out of their assets. And then we've got the ability to add a rider, which we call the continuation of benefits rider, and that can continue that same income stream for up to a lifetime. So without any further ado, let's just get in here and talk about, you know, a little bit about the new asset care. So first and foremost, wanted to mention, you know, here at OneAmerica Financial, we are a asset-based market leader. Somewhat debatable, but who came out first with these types of plans? But us and another carrier kind of argue back and forth about that. And so again, knowing that we are one of the first people in this space, we've been actually doing these types of plans for, I know it says 35 years there in this slide, but it's really 36 because we sold our first iteration of asset care, which we're going to be talking about today, back in 1988. So the year I graduated from high school, and yes, I've already had my 35th year reunion, so I know we're nearly 36, actually nearly 37 now, years in this business. So why is that important? Well, you know, I want to look at this from what they call the LTC cycle, if you will. And basically what they say is when a consumer puts a plan in place to when they actually need or go on claim is about 30 years. That's what they call the LTC cycle. And so knowing that we are now nearly 37 years in doing this business, that means we have at least 6 cycles, right? But with early claims, we're probably talking more 10 to 15 cycles. And why is that important? Well, again, we've been designing plans, filing them, administering them, but most importantly, paying claims. And that's where the rubber meets the road. So we've been through a number of these cycles, and that is, so we've got a number of folks on claim today. So all that speaks well, you know, for when you are representing or talking to your clients about OneAmerica Financial. We've been there, done that, and continue to work in the same capacity. You know, we were founded way back in 1877, so long history in insurance, but a very long history in these asset-based planning space as well. You can see the financial strengths there, Comdex 95, A+ rated from AM Best. You know, so we've got all the ratings there and so forth. So you don't have to worry about that when marketing OneAmerica Financial to your clients. So flexibility, and there's some things here that really make us stand out from our competitors. First and foremost, we're the only asset-based carrier that has both a whole life chassis and an annuity-based chassis. Why is that important? Well, if I had to look at the overall mix of business, about 78% of our business comes in on asset care, so our whole life chassis. And then actually annuity care has been on the rise over this past year. That's about 22%, right? So we can see that there's a mix between the two, and asset care is still our largest benefit source. So let's say you submit an asset care plan, and lo and behold, somebody gets declined. Unfortunately, that does happen every once in a while. It's even probably less so with us because we've got the two chassis. So first and foremost, we can table rate on asset care up to table 8, and actually up to table 4 is still our preferred rates. And all of our competitors are just accept or reject. So you've got better ways to get your clients approved within asset care because we're not just accept or reject. But then if we can't offer them on asset care, we will automatically look to our annuity suite and see if we can provide some sort of planning there. And why is that important? Well, that just helps you save more cases, right? We're always looking for ways to issue those clients that you bring to us. So again, that bodes well and definitely separates us from our competition out there. A couple other things that are very unique to OneAmerica, lifetime protection. So we're the only one that has that continuation of benefits rider that will go up to a lifetime. So for as long as any one or two people need that are on that policy, because one of the other areas that we shine is in our joint coverage, so we can put two people on one policy. But if you have that lifetime protection with those joint policies, you know, that really puts the total peace of mind in those clients' planning minds, if you will, because now they feel, look, no matter who needs care first, how much it costs, how long it lasts, I'm going to have a dedicated income stream for as long as one, or again, if it's a joint case, two of those people would ever need. So can never run out of those benefits, and that is very unique to us. And then we've got a lot of flexible funding options, and I'll talk on those here in just a little bit, a bit further. So lastly, our people, you know, there are 30 of us running around the country, 30 regionals, and that's all well and good. You know, we're just trying to help you, educate your clients, you know, can work with you, point of sale, all of those types of situations. We're there to help and educate, but we're not taking any of the comp. So all of that stays with you, but just know that we've got those resources that are there for you. But more than just the 30 wholesalers around the country, you know, we've got the people inside the building. We are based in Indianapolis, and we are a mutual company, which is, you know, speaks volumes as well. But we've also got our claims benefit concierge folks all in-house in Indianapolis. And why is that so important? Well, when that claim time does happen, it's a very difficult time for any family. You know, they're trying to figure things out and find care and do all of that sort of thing. Well, our claims benefit concierge all happen to be nurses in Indianapolis. So we're not shipping claims over, you know, to another country. There's no language barriers, time zones, that sort of thing to work with. So again, we get a lot of great feedback around our claims benefit concierge program. And just know they are in Indianapolis, no language barriers, no time differences. So that's a little bit about OneAmerica Financial. Now I really want to get into what's driving demand for this protection. And first and foremost, if you haven't heard the term the silver tsunami or the age wave that is moving through, it really has to do with this aging population. And there's a lot of numbers on this slide, and I will touch on most of them, but I'm going to give you one that's not on the slide. January 1st of 2026, the first boomer turns age 80. And obviously, just like when they turned 65 a number of years ago, it's 10,000 each day, every day after that, starting January 1st of 2026. That is right around the corner, folks. Why is the demand driving or growing for this type of planning solutions? Well, because we've got this silver tsunami coming, right? So as the consumers continue to age, that will certainly drive that business mix or need for protection. So why do I tell you with the first boomer turning 80, what's so important about that? Well, if we look at when claims typically start for an average American, it is right around age 80. So knowing that in just a little over a year, the first boomer is turning 80 and 10,000 every day after that, can you see where the need for this protection, for the services that are provided are really going to grow over this time space? It's going to be astronomical. So that's why they call it the silver tsunami or this age wave moving through. So continuing on with the boomers, by 2030, the youngest boomer is going to be turning 65. And again, we'll continue that every day after that. So very soon, they'll be 65 or older. And actually by mid-century, nearly a quarter of Americans will be 65 or older in the US population. That's a staggering number. So all of that is going to drive the need for not only care, but certainly those that have the planning ability to put those plans in place. Obviously, things that are driving this as well as cognitive decline. And today we're nearly 7 million Americans with Alzheimer's or some form of dementias. And if we don't find a cause by 2060, that will double. So nearly 14 million Americans will have Alzheimer's. And we know it's those Alzheimer's, those dementia claims that really typically last the longest. So just be aware of that and why that's driving the demand for protection here. Other things is personal experience. So 75% of Americans said, witnessing an actual family member go through a claim situation really drove their decision to put that plan in place. They've seen what it really takes, the outlay in cost, the outlay in manpower, the stress that it can put on a family. Lots of things that drive these decisions, but actually seeing a family member go through it really was a big driver in people putting plans in place. And then those that have a plan in place say it's total peace of mind. 52%, say it's having that in place gives them the peace of mind that they've got this plan in place, and they can protect the rest of the portfolio, the rest of the family members, really provide the loving care for the one who is needing care. So again, a lot of peace of mind that comes with that. All right, we did some consumer studies, and our second version of our consumer study just rolled out earlier this year. If you would like to receive more information on this or read the full study in and of itself, some great information in there, take out your phone, scan that QR code that's right at the top of this slide. And while you're doing that, I will touch on some of the key findings out of here. So 74% of Americans say they're likely to need some form of LTC in the future. And nearly 2/3 say it's an absolute priority when planning for this type of need. So what does that tell you? As an advisor, as an insurance professional working with your clients, if they think that they're highly likely to need this form of care, and many of them say it's a priority, we need to do our best job to not let it be a reactive situation where they ask us, but we need to be proactive in talking to our clients day one. So any client at any point, you need to start talking with them. And quite honestly, I just say this, plant the seed. It doesn't matter when you start with that client, but plant the seed. So make sure you talk to them in some form or fashion about some extended care planning. 79% of consumers say that the insurer's strength and reputation is a major reason for their, putting a plan in place. If you'll remember, OneAmerica is a financial mutual company, a financial savings company, that sort of thing. So we have all a long history in doing these asset-based planning types of types of plans, and the reputation, the long reputation of doing this 36 plus years now. So we have both the strength and reputation here. 84% rate the duration of the benefit period being a key component of the solution that they put in place. Now, we are the only asset-based carrier with that lifetime COB rider. And again, if we can put two people on one policy, I think it's absolutely imperative that you always add that unlimited benefit amount. So some key findings out of there. Hopefully you scan that QR code and you can find some other information as well. So when we're talking asset-based LTC solutions, really it's no different from us and our competitors. They all kind of work the same way, if you will, but let me just give you that concept. Essentially, it's repositioning a portion of that portfolio. So well-balanced portfolio, you can see here, we're just going to take a portion of that portfolio, create what is called their asset, and it can be either the life insurance chassis or it can be an annuity. So it would be the death benefit out of the life insurance policy. It would be the cash value out of the annuity. So when we're just repositioning that, creating their asset, that's what they're going to use first, right? But it's a better way to self-insure because now we put that asset in place. We add our continuation of benefits rider, and again, we can go up to a lifetime, and that's where we definitely differentiate from our competitors. So it's always the money and resources needed for the entire length of that claim. So many of you have heard this slogan maybe before. We've had a long-term slogan around this: live, quit, or die. And why is that so important? Why are consumers really moving from more the traditional long-term care insurance to these asset-based solutions? Well, one, it's a better way to self-insure, right? First and foremost. But here's that to speak to the live, quit, die solution. You know, they live and they need care. Obviously, they've got the asset now that they go to get the income needed for those expenditures. And then we've got that catastrophic backstop that could go all the way up to a lifetime. So live and need care, that's covered. Quit, they can't quit and walk away. That's up to them. It's still their asset. They can walk away. There are some surrender charges over a 9-year period. But again, their asset, they can walk away if they want. Of course, then they don't have any long-term care plan in place. So typically when we see people put these plans in place, they don't quit these types of plans. Last thing is die. So let's say they die and never need it. And that was one of the biggest objections as the traditional market has faced for years and years and years. And it was, well, what if I'm putting all this premium dollars into this plan and then I never use it? So with the asset-based solution, if they die and never need it, they're going to pass those benefits on to their beneficiaries. Many of them like to leave a legacy. So, you know, if it's the kids that happen to be their beneficiaries, in the case of a death benefit, it would be a tax-free death benefit of any of those remaining benefits out of that life policy that would pass tax-free on to their heirs. It could be a charity. It doesn't really matter. Whoever they designate as their benefit out of the life portion of this plan, they don't use it. Any benefits that are left over gets passed on tax-free to their beneficiaries. If it's the annuity chassis, there will be growth in that annuity over those years. So there may be, it's still going to pass on. So any of the remaining cash value will pass on, but there may be some slight taxation because of that gain in those contracts. But live, quit, or die, the clients always get something for the premium dollars they put in. I talked about earlier about many funding options. So when these asset-based solutions were first put in place, they were all single premium. So it was all repositioning of a portion of their portfolio, and that's essentially just moving money from one pocket to another, right? Still their asset, it's still in their portfolio, it's just repositioning. So that's where these were early years, they were all single premiums. But over our 36-year history, we have realized that not everybody has a larger sum of money that they can just reposition, or they look at it and they say, I just don't want to part with a larger sum of money. Now, it's still their asset, so they always have it. So that's kind of a debunked reason to not do that. But anyway, we've recognized that, and we came up with recurring premiums over this time span as well. So we've got a 5-pay, a 10-pay, a 20-pay. Those are all paid up policies once they reach that level. We've also got a pay to age 95, also a paid up policy if they reach 95, but that's really our annual pay. So structuring it more maybe like a traditional plan. So we're seeing a lot of our business today coming in on that or some form of recurring premium option. As a matter of fact, over 65% of our business today is coming in one of those forms of recurring premiums. Now, here's another great thing about recurring premiums. If they have a recurring premium structure, and let's say, if it's an individual policy, they go on claim. If it's a joint policy, one of those people goes on claim. We have waiver of premium built into these plans. So as soon as somebody goes on claim, we're waiving those benefits for them as well, or waiving those premiums for them as well. So big benefit here that's on our plans is that waiver premium for any of those recurring premium situations. 1035 exchanges, that's certainly an area that we could do, existing cash value from life insurance, annuities. We've got both chassis to move to. So lots of ways that we can do 1035 exchanges. And then the last one that I will really talk about is using qualified funds. Most consumers have no idea that they can use a portion of their qualified fund to protect the rest of the portfolio in putting a long-term care plan in place. So we have a very simple one and done solution using qualified funds and put a great plan of care in place for them. Thus, again, protecting the rest of the portfolio and protecting the family members as well. So that would be, a personal IRA, 401k, 403b, even inherited IRAs. So lots of ways that we can do this. That's about a quarter of our business, but quite honestly, that's probably about 2/3 of the phone calls that I take every week is, hey, explain to me how that qualified money situation works. Because think about it, where are Americans saving money today? It's all in qualified sources. So why not just take a portion of that qualified money, protect the rest of the portfolio, protect the family, make sure that they've got their independence. Great way to do so. If you need more information, certainly reach out to your wholesaler there at IAMS, and they will certainly be able to share any of that with you. All right, so I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but we did make some enhancements starting on October 21st of this year. We made some enhancements to our asset care plan. So all of those states that are in blue there, those are all states that have the new plan available. We did it through the LTC Compact, and those are all LTC Compact states. So those that are there in gray, or at least the lighter gray, the 11 states that are not there yet, those will be approved early in 2025. So even if you happen to reside in the states that are in gray here, at least the light gray, I should say, know that these enhancements are coming very soon to you. Now, for those of you in New York, unfortunately, or work in New York, we just don't have any solutions there in the state of New York. And I just thought I would mention that. So we are in 49 states, but not New York. All right, so let's talk about asset care and the enhancements that we've gone through here. And really what I wanted to do is focus on 4 main tenets. First and foremost, it's simplicity. And I've been doing this now with OneAmerica for nearly 6 years, and I've heard a lot of feedback from advisors like yourself, insurance professionals like yourself, and saying, you guys have great solutions, but they're really complex, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to understand. Well, we took that to heart, and really with these enhancements for 2024 version of asset care, we've really simplified things, and I hope you like what you see here in just a minute. Flexibility is another area. Yes, we have the 2 chassis. We're going to keep those 2 chassis, but flexibility in who's providing care, who's being reimbursed for care, that sort of thing as well. A lot of flexibility, and we'll touch on that. Also, competitive pricing. Who doesn't like to pay less for things, right? So we certainly did sharpen our pencils, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then the enhanced claims experience. So where the rubber meets the road. That's really why we are talking with our clients about this. And we've really enhanced the claims experience. And I will touch on those options here in just a moment, or benefits, I should say. So first and foremost, simplicity. I really like this new structure. Pretty straightforward, very simple here. The base policy, so those dark blue boxes all the way down, that's the base policy. That's their asset. That's what they're going to use first when they go on claim, but that pays out over a 2-year period. So what AOB means is acceleration of benefits. So whatever the death benefit is, we will accelerate those benefits over a 2-year period. So that's kind of where we get that monthly LTC benefit that's available for the clients. So base policy now is all 2-year base policy. So no more is it pay out over 25 months, 33 months, 50 months, all these different options. We've really simplified things, just a 2-year base policy, and we're going to accelerate those benefits. Then we simplified even the continuation of benefits riders. So you can do a 2+2, or a 2+4, or a 2+6. Or what really makes us different in this marketplace is the 2+ our lifetime COB rider. So 2, 4, 6, 8, or lifetime. Those are your options in designing these types of plans. So very simple structure. Hopefully you think that is you like it as much as I do. I just know that when I've done these live, I see people's faces light up just because they like the simplicity of this new plans. All right, so flexibility. So what am I talking about here? Well, we've added some areas, really enhanced the benefits that can be paid out. And first and foremost, independent providers. Before, a provider must have worked for some sort of agency. I'm here in Omaha. One of the biggest ones is Home Instead here. They've got franchises across the country, but they must have had to work for some form of agency like that, these providers, in order to be reimbursed for these policies. Well, now we are reimbursing for independent providers. So they must have the licensure of the state that they are working in. So some form of licensure. Now there's some examples of independent providers there in the bottom right-hand corner, but that's not even all of them. There are some simple ways to get the licensure required to be a caregiver in various states. So these are just some examples, but essentially if they have the licensure of the state, they can be in business for themselves. They can be an independent provider. Now, where does this really come into play? Well, largely in those rural areas, it's vital to be able to pay independent providers. So I'm here in Nebraska, Omaha. So you get west of Lincoln, there's more cows than people out there, right? But if you have somebody that is needing a home care situation and they're out in the sticks, there's no agencies around them. The nearest agency may be an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And it just didn't make dollars and cents for those agencies to send a provider out there. They have to drive an hour and a half or 2 hours each way just to provide a couple hours of care. Just doesn't make dollars and cents, right? So independent providers is a huge benefit now. And the other thing that we've done for these independent providers, because the biggest struggle for them to go out on their own is the billing. So we have a simple app now that they can have on their phone that really helps them do all of the billing procedures, check in, check out, do all of that. Very great situation, and really happy to start paying for independent providers in these types of plans. Now, it doesn't have to be just in a rural situation. Think of it from the metro area perspective. Maybe, somebody is kind of tired of the health system that they happen to be working, and they decide, to heck with this. I don't want to go into another health system. I just want to be, I have a heart for caregiving. I want to break out on my own. So they go out, they have the licensure already, right? Because they were working for a health system. Now they decide they're just going to be an independent provider. So again, we're reimbursing for this. We've got the billing system for them, a very simple app. So a big benefit enhancement. Now, this applies to Asset Care 2024 forward, right? So it's not for older plans as it stands today. At least that's the way it stands today. So just wanted to remind that. So big addition there. Another thing that I'm very happy to talk about are these next two. First and foremost, the cash benefit. So we are going to pay a cash benefit if the family elects to have that cash benefit. It comes out of the base policy or acceleration of benefit option. So remember that 2-year base policy. It'll come, that cash benefit will come out of that base policy portion, and it'll be 75% of their monthly amount. So for easy math, let's say they had a $10,000 monthly benefit amount. The family elects to take the cash benefit. We will give them $7,500 for the amount of time out of that base benefit. So again, 2-year base policy, we're going to give that 75% of their monthly amount. in a cash benefit. So why is that important? Well, it may be, especially when that claim first arises, because it's tumultuous time, they don't know who, the care providers are, who's the facilities that are available, any of that kind of thing. They may have a family member. Many times it's the closest female to that claimant that needs help. Not being sexist there, that's just kind of the way it works typically. So it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a neighbor. They can actually get benefits out of this policy in the cash benefit and then pay those informal caregivers. Really what this does is it helps that family then, pay for that informal caregiving while they put this permanent plan in place. So I will say this, we are a reimbursement carrier through and through. I don't think that will ever change, but we understand at claim time, there may be a need to pay an informal caregiver. So we've now given this cash benefit to these plans. So very excited about that as well. So really what it does, lets that family figure out that permanent plan, and then they can get back to the reimbursement chassis. All right, the next one is something that is brand new to the industry. We're the first carrier to do this or offer this. It's called a caregiver consultant. And what that is, think of them as a coach. So if that family is taking that cash benefit, providing that informal care, well, they're, experts in other forms in society, right? They're not experts in caregiving. And here, what they can do is access this caregiver consultant or this coach, if I can, up to once per month. It's not paid for out of their policy. It's just paid for us or from us, OneAmerica here, for those informal caregiving. And why is this important? So if they're experts in other forms of society, they're not experts in caregiving, how do they figure out how to move somebody, transfer them, move them without hurting the care recipient or themselves? Well, that coach can really help them through those situations. What if it's a combative claimant? Have you heard the term sundowner syndrome? I've witnessed it for my own mother, as a matter of fact, and they get very agitated, and it gets difficult to deal with them. That coach can help them through those situations, so they can access that coach up to one time per month. And again, OneAmerica Financial is paying for that. It's not coming out of the family's policy. So great little addition here. Really like this structure, helping those informal caregivers make sure that they can give the best care possible. And then we've also added some expanded supportive equipment. You can see there, human lift, medical monitoring system, and that automated medication dispenser. So all this is flexibility at claim time, right? Now I want to talk about that in claims flexibility and really make sure that you understood how this works. So we can pay that cash benefit out of that base policy or the acceleration of benefits. Remember that blue box that pays out over 2 years? Now, what I didn't mention earlier, they're getting 75% of their monthly home or their monthly amount, right? If they elect the cash benefit. Well, if they're going to take cash the full time, they don't lose the 25% that was there. It just extends that period. So if I did my math right, I think that would, if they took cash the whole time, that would pay out over a 38-month period versus just the 24 out of the acceleration of benefits. So just think of it that way. But of course, we'll do reimbursement for all of the base policy as well. But anytime we get back into that continuation of benefits, we are back to that reimbursement chassis. And of course, you can see what is provided there. So at least we're giving them early in that claim period, some cash up front so that they can maybe help pay for any of those informal caregivers that come in. The last thing here I wanted to talk about was enhanced pricing. And again, a lot of numbers on here. This really came from our actuaries who sharpened the pencils, and they wanted to make sure that your understanding of everything that they really kind of went to work on. I like to boil this down to its simplest form and just give you a range. So you're going to find us very competitive and a range would be anywhere from 10 to probably 14% premium reductions. So I will mention this just a little bit more so, because you may have perused this screen here and just seeing that there is somewhere down there at the bottom, it says 45% decrease. Well, that was maybe one cell, but I will tell you this, one of the areas that we were very uncompetitive on, as far as our competitors were concerned, they had us beat when adding inflation. So we would typically just never show inflation with our plans. Well, we really sharpened our pencils around adding inflation. So now you're going to find us extremely competitive, both with inflation and without inflation. So just know, again, overall, I'm going to say anywhere from a 10 to 14% decrease, especially when you're adding inflation protection. All right, so we are here to help that family, provide that caring expertise at every step. So it's starting to get cold, at least here in Omaha. Maybe it is where you're at, located as well. And so I'm going to call this the caregiving blanket. We're really trying to wrap this family out and provide that extra support, that expertise at every step. So I mentioned the care benefit concierge, all in Indianapolis, all, no language barriers, any of that. Help start the family, or help the family start that claims process. That's really what the care benefit is for. Care benefit concierge is for. Then we offer that caregiver consultant. Remember, it's the coach. So if that family happens to be taking that cash benefit or any of those informal benefits, they can access that coach to really help them through some of those claim situations to make sure that loved one is being provided the best care possible. And then the last one is that care coordinator there. So what is a care coordinator? Well, they are ones that, I'm going to use the analogy of a realtor. So let's say you're moving into a new state or a new city, and you don't know anything about the real estate market. Hey, what are the best deals? Where are the best schools? What type, I'm looking for this type of house. Obviously, you're going to go to a realtor for that because they know the area well. Well, that's basically what a care coordinator does, just on a LTC caregiving basis. So they know all the facilities around, they know the independent providers, agency providers, that sort of thing. So the care coordinator is really much like a realtor, helping that family as well. So all three of those benefits are there for the families, really trying to provide that caring expertise at every step of the way, because OneAmerica is very big on not only education, but providing that care expertise as well. All right, so I've got just a couple minutes left here, and I wanted to give you just a quick sales idea, and it happens to be on our annuity chassis. So annuity care, and the reason I'm talking about this is, when we're getting to the end of not only LTC Awareness Month, but the end of the year, many times we want to hit, that sales goal or whatever, maybe it's blowing it out of the water, maybe you're getting close, maybe you're trying just to hit it. Well, I've got a great way, low-hanging fruit, that you can go out and do just that. And that is using our annuity care chassis, and really the Pension Protection Act is really what I want to hit on here. Because we know that many clients out there have existing annuities, and these existing annuities, the cost basis is not going to be taxed, but any of the growth is going to be taxable. So if you take $1 out of that annuity, it's going to be hit with federal, state, Social Security, Medicare premiums, IRMA. If you're not at all in the know about IRMA, you need to figure it out, because this is the second thing after long-term care that seniors are very concerned with. So IRMA, all of this can be hit with taxes. So that $1 is not really $1 when they take it out. It's less than that $1, right? Because of all these taxes. But if we could simply 1035 exchange, and when it says an existing annuity, it would be a non-qualified annuity. Simply do a 1035 exchange into a Pension Protection Act compliant annuity. And all of our annuities here at OneAmerica are just that. They're all Pension Act, PPA compliant. Now, what we've done is we've taken that $1 out of that existing annuity that they had, made it PPA compliant, and now that dollar becomes a full dollar because all of that growth, anything that's in that gain in that contract is now income tax free if used for long-term care. So just to give you a quick idea, and like I said, I really wanted to give you that sales idea. This is only available on our annuity care, the original or indexed annuity care, but we've made some changes internally that really makes this a very lucrative plan for you right here at the end of the year. We're offering instant approval. If this app is done through our e-app, we'll do instant approval if they can answer no to 4 knockout questions. That's it. And we've reached or increased our maximum from 500,000 all the way up to $1 million. Since we've made this change, and that was back in May earlier this year, we have seen over 2 handfuls of basically $1 million transfers here. So taking full advantage of that taxation benefit, and really I call this more of a taxation, or excuse me, a tax mitigation strategy versus an LTC play. Yes, the LTC benefits are icing on the cake, but this is really a strategy that you can work with your clients. And here's what I mean. Look to your book of business from ages 70 to 87, I'm going to say, all the way up to 87. If they've got any long-term care concerns, or even if you don't know if they've got a long-term care concern, I would ask them. So if you're looking at your book of business and you know that they've got a non-qualified annuity, I would talk to them about this tax mitigation strategy. Hey, by the way, I've been helping my clients, some of my clients, with a tax mitigation strategy. Can we take a review of that annuity? Remember, this is a dead asset to you, right? It's working for the client, but it's doing nothing for you. By simple 1035 exchanging, now you make another revenue stream out of it. And to take this a step further, even if it's not in your portfolio of clients, right? Every client that you talk to, I would ask them, do you have any annuities in your portfolio that I might not happen to know about? And again, it's right back to, I've been helping some of my clients with a tax mitigation strategy, and I thought we could maybe review that annuity. So great way to show them the benefits, those tax-free benefits from just doing a simple 1035 exchange, all the way up to $1 million, instant approval if used for our used through our e-app if they can answer no to 4 knockout questions. Benefits are all tax-free. The other thing that I'll mention, one thing that we have available, 1035 exchanges must be like for like. So many of these are individually owned annuities. So we'll still 1035 exchange, still be individually owned, but we can add an eligible person. It must be their spouse, but we can add the spouse to really maximize the tax mitigation strategy of that existing annuity that's moving over. So again, another great aspect of this whole low-hanging fruit, if you will. And then all of the policies here at OneAmerica come with our claims benefit concierge. So just to show you some very quick ways of doing this, I'm going to use our indexed annuity care here, an existing annuity worth 200,000, we 1035 exchange it. You can see that they're still going to grow. So I get these questions a lot. Well, what are they losing by 1035 exchange? Well, no, they're not losing anything. They're actually getting a great tax mitigation strategy and extra benefits here if they need long-term care. So after year 1 of growth, this monthly benefit has grown to $87.62. After 10 years, $14,716. That's a big benefit. So these continue to grow. Not only that, look at their total LTC value and account value. Again, they continue to grow the longer they have these in place. Now, the indexed annuity care pays out over 2 years. So you're going to see a bigger, much like the asset care enhancements have done over that 2-year policy. That's why we're going to see a bigger benefit here on the indexed annuity care versus annuity care. So we'll look at that same situation, same 200,000. Yes, the benefits are lower, but some people like to just do average planning, right? They don't necessarily want that COB rider. And so here, annuity care pays out over 3 years. So simply doing a 1035 exchange, give them all the tax-free benefits for any long-term care services, maybe add that spouse too if they're not already on it, and use that amount of money tax-free for 3 years. So you can see what happens to both the monthly benefit and account values there as well. One last one where we add the COB rider in from day one, essentially. It's a leverage play. So a little bit of a different scenario here, but single female, age 65, 200,000 coming over. We're automatically going to build in the continuation of benefits rider. This comes with extra underwriting. So anytime you add that continuation of benefits rider, there will be a telephone interview beyond those 4 knockout questions. So just understand that a little more underwriting that comes over when you add the continuation of benefits rider. But this is our straight leverage play. So 200,000 comes over, we add that leverage to that. So 800,000 in total benefits. So 83.33 for 8 years, the 65-year-old female could use that plan for. So great option here as well if you want to add more leverage besides just the tax mitigation strategy. All right, so before I open it up for any questions, I'm going to show you one more time a QR code that we've got a lot of resources that the things that I've talked about today. You can scan that, find some marketing material for that. So I'll leave that up, and then I'm going to pass it back really quick, John. Any questions that happen to be out there that I can answer quickly?
Yeah, what are the 4 knockout questions there for the annuity care?
Yep, great question. And I thought I had that built into this presentation. I apologize, I did not. 4 knockout questions are this. First and foremost, are they using any assistive devices, like wheelchair, walker, quad cane, oxygen, that sort of thing? Second one, are they needing any help with their activities of daily living? So bathing, eating, dressing, toileting, transferring, continence, right? Key triggers. So the third one, again, asking if they're already receiving benefits. Have they been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig's, ALS, multiple sclerosis, things of that nature? So the first 3 knockouts, are they already on claim, right? So if they're not on claim with the first 3, we move on to the fourth. The fourth is, do they have AIDS or AIDS-related disorders? 4 simple knockout questions. And if they can answer no, it's accept or reject. Now, again, if we add that continuation of benefits rider, there will be the telephone interview as well. So that's really more your senior assessment, if you will. So hopefully that helped.
Yeah, that does. And probably that telephone interview is probably more like a cognitive, correct? A lot more cognitive impairment.
It is.
There, yep. Questions. Okay,
correct.
Perfect. Those are the only questions that I saw. So once again, I want to thank Brent here for joining us again. If you have any questions on any of OneAmerica's full suite of products, reach out to your sales director here on the life side. Will help out with the whole life chassis, and then obviously your annuity sales director will help out with that with the annuity-based products. So I want to thank everybody for their time. Get everybody out here. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Spend some time relaxing here before we have that final home stretch and sprint to the end of 2024. Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.